Good morning, good life. Are you procrastinating on something right now? Yeah, probably more than one thing, right? Let's be honest. It's that thing you got to do around the house that you see every time you walk by it and you're like, really? Ugh, when am I going to do that? And then, of course, there's that big project that you've got to work on, something you're going to end up presenting in front of people. Ugh, when am I going to have time to do that? There's just so much happening. And at the end of the day, when you think of these particular items, it's not just when is it going to get done? It's, I don't feel like it. So I want to talk about something that you could potentially do to change your mind about that, something that's helpful to me and how it is going to help you get the important things done. If there's something important that you need to do that you just don't feel like doing, stay tuned.
She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail.
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
Probably one of my favorite things about my job is getting questions from people. I feel so much more purpose in my work when I can hear directly what someone's problem is or what their challenge is so that I can really formulate a strategy that would affect that person. Like that is the core of my passion, if you haven't picked that up. So it always makes me laugh a little inside when one of those questions is, oh my gosh, well, what do you do when you just don't feel like it? What do you do? Because it comes off as though someone genuinely thinks that I am never not feeling like doing something, which is so far from the truth. And it's like they know that, like, oh yeah, there's probably times when Amy's having an off day. Yeah, sure, of course. But they really don't believe it because they're saying, like, I see you doing this, I see you writing books, I see this. Like, clearly you don't have this problem as much as any other person. It's just not true. We're not all operating at all cylinders all the time. It's just not possible. And we change, and our feelings change, and our seasons change, and what's happening that day changes. This is why I talk about the very important reason that we start the day on our terms, because if we at least have one moment of the day that's already happened that we feel like we owned, we can go into the rest of the day like we can also assess it on our own terms. But it still doesn't fix everything, and there's times when I don't feel like doing something. And I learned a little trick from a very prestigious author, somebody that I respect very deeply. And I want to share that tip with you today because it has helped me so much in reassessing what's really going on when I don't feel like doing something, especially when it's something important. But before we get into all that, just in case you're new, hi, my name is Amy Landino. I will be your host. I'm the founder of GATLU, which stands for Go After the Life You Want. It makes no sense. I made it up. The you in there is the you in the word you. It's not a Y. I know some people get that confused, and that's okay with me because this is a made up word, but it means something to me. It means a lot to me. Every single day, I'm thinking about how I can go after the life that I want. And that's not just from an ego standpoint. It's not selfish. It's because if I'm hacking it, then I can share that with others, which is really what we try to do at GATLU House, which is the company that I have formed and brought into the world. We create resources and tons of things for ambitious professionals who are ready to unleash their power, get unstuck, and create the life of their dreams. You can find out all kinds of details about what we do at gatlu.com. All the books that I've written, including the one that's coming, will be there, the videos we produce, and of course, show notes for this podcast. And if you just love podcasts, join our premium community. It is Shine Squad. It is as low as $5 per month. And you can literally have me in your earbuds to motivate you every morning if that helps you to start your day on your terms. I would love to be able to do that. So check it out, tap the show notes, and see what you think. So let's do the screenshot challenge. I love doing this with you guys. I keep seeing your screenshots come in. Some of you like to share it on the DL, in the DM. Well, I'll do the screenshot challenge, Amy, and I'll tell you what's going on in my mind, but I am going to keep it on the down low and send it into your direct messages. And I love that too. Some of you love to share it publicly. When you do, I love to share what you're willing to share. It means a lot to me, and I think it makes other people feel like they're not alone. So you know what? Instagram's great for that. When we use it for the right reasons. That's a different tangent for a different day. Believe me, I have thoughts on Instagram right now. But anyway, screenshot challenge. Screenshot this podcast on your phone right now. Share it on your social media, whether it's to your story on Instagram or in the DMs, or hey, you could even tweet me, all of the above, at Schmitastic or at Details Podcast, whichever tickles your fancy. And answer me this. What do you not feel like doing right now? What do you not feel like doing right now? And even if you don't do this challenge, I want you to really think about something in this moment. We're going to work through this together. You and I are going to work through, what do you not feel like doing right now? I'll give you a very real world example for me in this moment. I do not feel like making a video. I don't feel like making a video. I'm going to be completely honest. Bless all of you who have been leaving me YouTube comments and saying, what's going on? When's the show coming back? I have been milking maternity leave as far as YouTube and Instagram goes extensively. Extensively. Okay, my child just turned 3 months old. Okay, shout out to Bianca. 3 months. Wow, what a journey. I've been milking it because I really wanted to take this pause to reassess how I wanted to present my work there. The world of the internet is changing so much. It's making me question a lot of things. It's making me question human behavior. And it's making me question what it really takes to make sure that my message that is meant to benefit you is worth your time. I'm not going to make a video just for making a video. Here's the real world example. I have decided that I am going to be shooting on location because my house is just not conducive for shooting YouTube videos at the moment. And I do have some I want to shoot. I have some. I don't feel like doing it, but I have some. See where I'm getting here? I have some. So I set up a place where I would do that. And I actually had to rent it out. And I rented it out for this weekend. Now, today is Friday. I've actually already checked into this place, but I'm at home right now. I'm not there. I was supposed to shoot today. I was supposed to shoot quite a bit of content today. Yesterday, my entire schedule got derailed. Believe it or not, first time I get my hair done in 4 months. 4 months, okay? I was very proud of myself because it was long from all the, hormones and things that happen with a baby. It's great, but it needed fixed up. Let's be honest. Okay. It's looking a little drab. And so I went and got my hair done, but I think I got so excited with everything that I signed up for. I didn't know how long it actually took. So I blocked 2 hours on my calendar. Yeah, 2 hours. It took 5.5. It took 5.5 hours to get my hair done yesterday. I have never in my entire life. And actually, it had nothing to do with the young lady who did it. It was the first time I went to go see her. I'm still experimenting with who my beauty professionals are going to be here in Florida. It's not been urgent because I've been taking care of a baby, like I said, but she did an excellent job. I just signed up for so many things that take time to process it. That's just how it goes. And this little Ohio girl doesn't always think about that stuff. I'm like, hey, can I get a cut and color? I don't think about how long it takes. Okay. And now I know. So it took 5.5 hours. I was supposed to check into the Airbnb after that and get my setup all ready to go so that I could just waltz in there this morning and shoot a bunch of stuff. But because I left my child with my husband at home with not enough milk to feed her, and I'm still sitting in the chair doing all this stuff to my hair, going to check into the Airbnb and set up some equipment did not pan out. So it wasn't because I didn't feel like it. It was because logistics changed. But because of that, I started thinking to myself, wow, I now have so much I would have to do tomorrow to shoot what I want to shoot. And I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like rushing over there in the morning, setting up the lights, setting up the camera, and getting going here. I didn't hire a team to help me with production this time. I was just going to go and chill and do it at my own pace because that's how I wanted to get back into this after maternity leave. So it's all on me. And so that's the situation I'm in. I didn't want to do that this morning. And so luckily I have the place rented out until Sunday. So it's an accountability. But today I didn't feel like doing it. I just didn't. I was like, we're going to put this off till Saturday. And so that's the plan. I'm going to do it tomorrow because I don't feel like doing it today. But if I didn't have those circumstances, if I had to shoot today because maybe I had a sitter that was taking the baby for a certain period of time, I scheduled that. Maybe I did hire a production team to help me with this particular project. I don't know. Maybe there's something other than a reservation of a location that was holding me accountable. Now, let's say that's the case. Now, I want you to also think of the thing you don't feel like doing right now or today or in the near future. You don't feel like doing it. Well, in those cases, when I know I gotta, like, it's like if I don't do it now, I'm gonna have to do it at some point and I need to get my head in the game. Then I need to ask myself this question. And I got this question from Dan Pink. He is an absolutely incredible best-selling author of books like Drive, and he really just knows what the heck he is talking about when it comes to human psychology and persuasion and sales, but in a way that we can understand of how it would be applicable to how we think and how we can level with other people. And sales doesn't have to be this icky thing. It has to do with, really understanding human nature, and understanding ourselves is a big part of that. So what he proposed was ask yourself an irrational question. And the irrational question in this case, you don't feel like doing something. Okay, cool. All right, here's the question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very not ready and 10 being very ready, how ready are you to do the thing? So instead of I don't feel like it, you now have to give it a metric of how ready you are to do this thing. So let's take my example. On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready am I to shoot videos today? Well, how ready am I? I think we have to dock about, 3 points because my set is not ready. And we're going to dock another, 3 points for feeling a little anxious and things not going the way I want them to go. So that takes 6 away. And this is just how I'm doing it. You could come up with any number you want personally. This is just how I'm kind of coming to the conclusion. But however, let's say that's 6. I'm going to give myself a 4 because all the content is written. I'm very excited about it. I actually think it's going to be pretty good when it's finally done and into the world. So when it comes to today, how ready am I to shoot? I'm a 4 out of 10. So that's the first question. Okay, just find out where you are. Now, you could be a 4, like me, but if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably even less than that, right? You might be a 1, or you might be a 2. You might be a 2, or you might be a rebel and say, I don't like the scale of 1 to 10. I'm giving you a big, fat goose egg. It's a 0 for me, dog. Okay? Well, let's look at 2 and up first, because 1's technically supposed to be the lowest. From a scale of 2 to 10, if you gave an answer of between 2 to 10 of how ready you are to do the thing that you don't feel like doing right now, the second question you need to ask yourself is, why didn't you give yourself a lower number? So now what's happening in your brain, and I already kind of did it out loud for you in my case, is I'm going to talk through why my number is what it is. And like I said, I'm a 4 because the content's written. I think it's really good and I am ready to share it. I'm just not ready to set up lights. I'm not ready to put my makeup on and do my hair and steam my outfit and all those other things. But if you gave an answer of between 2 and 10, then it's probably because you've got a couple of things on your mind that are making you realize that you are kind of ready on some level, right? You're like, well, I am ready as far as this item or as far as these things. But other than that, I'm just not moving. So what's happening now is you have found evidence as to why it's possible. You have found evidence as to why it's possible. You came up with a couple of things as to why you gave yourself something higher than a 2 or a 1, right? We now have evidence in our favor that it's possible. We have evidence in our favor that you do feel like it on some level, but there are some other things kind of weighing you down. So now let's say you set a 1 or a 0. Let's take 0, for example. Let's just say you're like, I don't feel like doing it. End of story. It's not even close. The question you should be asking yourself as a follow-up, instead of what you asked if you're on a scale of 2 to 10, if you're a 0, the question is, how do you get to a 1? How do we get from a 0 to a 1? Or how do we get from a 1 to a 2? Why does this matter? Why does this work? I just love what Dan talked about this because it makes you do the same thing we did on a scale of 2 to 10. In that we're finding evidence of something that could move us in the right direction. Some of us might already have that evidence and then therefore make further steps feel even more possible. Like, okay, well, I could go put some foundation on. Yes, I could. That could get me from a 4 to a 5, maybe. If we're trying to get from a 0 to a 1, we just need to find something to get us from a 0 to a 1. That's it. This is the classic argument you've heard probably 151 other times on this podcast. And it's to do something small. Do something small that is going to move you in the right direction. We are not looking for you to suddenly break out of your superhero costume and go, I am ready now and I'm going to dominate the world. No, we're not. We're regular humans who are dealing with a lot. We have a lot on our mind, and we just have to get from a 0 to a 1 because that would be progress. That's it. So just allow yourself to go deeper into the conversation. And this isn't even too deep, right? Go deeper into the conversation about what you don't feel like doing right now, what you don't feel like doing right now. What is the God honest truth about how you feel about that on a number scale? 1 to 10. Pick a number. And then from there, we can figure out where to go next. This is real motivation. It is, because you have to do something. Getting motivated is an act. There's nothing I could say right now that is going to make you want to do something. I can try my very best, and I really do on this show, and I want you to feel like you can take on the world. But I can't get you all the way there. You have to make that decision yourself. And you have to look at the evidence. Some of that evidence could be something I say, and some of that evidence could be what's happening in your life. Some of that evidence could be what your potential and your capabilities are. You have to find that evidence in order to use it to your advantage to get motivated. And this contributes to something even greater, which is something we care a lot about at Gatlu and something I talked about in my book, Good Morning, Good Life, and that's mastery. Every single day for the last decade of being a business owner, I have had something to do that I didn't feel like doing. Every day, probably every hour. I am an introvert. I am also a professional public speaker. I have to do things in the morning on the morning of my speech when absolutely I'm being held accountable to go do that speech to make sure I get my head in the game and push past the 3 or 4 I might be on that scale of how much I want to be interacting with people and speaking that day because it's against the grain of my introversion. I have to do stuff to get my head in the game, but they have to be small things. I'm going to go walk on the treadmill. I am going to go just review my speech. I'm just going to read it quietly. I am going to do the small things because this is what we talk about in the book, and that is mastery. I am mastering myself. I am mastering my motivation. I am mastering my ability to be okay with the fact that I don't feel like doing stuff all the time. But it doesn't mean I can't or I won't. And sometimes it means I won't, like today. I'm going to take an extra day to spend time with my child that I want to because I was out way too much yesterday before I get my head in the game tomorrow for the very last opportunity that I will be able to hold myself accountable to do the things I have to do. And I am so good with that. I feel so good. As a matter of fact, this podcast was going to be heavily delayed because the week got away from me so much, and it happens. And look what happened. I got to sit down and record it, and I'm going to be on time, which my podcast producer, Andrew, is thrilled about, I'm sure. It's not about changing to a completely different version of yourself, unless that helps you. If you need your version of Sasha Fierce, go at it. I just want you to get from a 1 to a 2. 1 to a 2. I don't feel like reading the book. Okay, fine. I will read a sentence. 1 to a 2. I don't feel like making dinner. Okay, that's fine. Why don't we just throw away the things that are bad in the refrigerator? 1 to a 2. And see what happens when you do just something very simple and how it moves you to do what didn't feel simple 5 minutes ago. That's what I'm hoping you'll try today. I'm hoping if you are feeling the feels of something right now that's important, but you don't feel like doing, that you will give this a try. And I hope you'll tell me about it at Details Podcast, at Schmatastic on the social media. Hey, I just love being able to offer a little detail therapy to you. And in this office, I may not be a doctor, but we do have a copay. And the copay is that if this helped you, then I really hope you'll share this show and let someone else know that it could help them as well. And I really appreciate you for doing that. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I will see you back here on the next one. Cheers.